I think I have a unique perspective moving to Idaho because I moved to Idaho from San Diego, where I was a third generation San Diegan. My kids are fourth generation. My ancestors came to California in the 1800s. They used to own land in San Diego. They were farmers. And so leaving San Diego was a very difficult thing for me to do because I had so much family there, huge network of friends and community, and of course, some of the best weather in the entire world, at least certainly in America. So leaving San Diego is going to be difficult no matter where I ended up. And ultimately, when we decided to make the move to Idaho, now I did have a lot of questions before I moved to Idaho. It's like, was I actually going to be able to handle the 4 seasons that Idaho has? Was I going to be able to build a new community, a new network of friends? And coming from a big city, was it just going to be too slow and kind of boring and that slower pace of life that Idaho is known for? So in this video, I'm going to go over 7 things I wish I had known before making the move to the Boise, Idaho area, and I hope you find this video helpful. First thing up is the 4 seasons in Idaho. Was I able to handle it? How difficult is it? So let's just run through what those seasons are. Of course, the biggest ones are winter and summer. So in winter, it does get cold. In fact, this last winter, it was one of the coldest winters on record in Idaho, and it went on for a really long time. I have to admit, I was fine with it from about November, it snowed November 1st, up until, February, March timeframe, and then I was kind of over it, but it actually didn't warm up until April. So it was a long, extended winter. Fortunately, that's not normal. So I knew that if I can get through that and probably get through any other winter. It also snowed a lot more this past winter, but we only got about 1 to 2 inches at a time, which is fairly typical. There was a time, I think in 2016, before I moved here, what they called Snowmageddon, where it did snow like 1 or 2 feet, and it kind of shut down the city for a while because it just stayed super cold and there was lots of snow, but that's not typical at all. So I was able to survive the winter and it wasn't as bad as I thought. I was indoors a lot more than I was expecting. So just as a family, we had to make sure that we really got outdoors, forced ourselves to go on walks and get out and do things. Now, if you're very active and you like to ski or snowboard, there are so many opportunities around for that. And that's gonna be an easy way for you to get yourself outdoors. But there's also all kinds of cool winter activities to do besides skiing and snowboarding. There are cool events like at Indian Creek Plaza. You've got the Christmas lights that they set up, which is millions of lights at Indian Creek Plaza, and the ice ribbon they set up as well. They also have the village in Meridian. They also set up an ice rink there. They've got Santa's Village there. And then there's also the Meridian Christmas Parade, and there's little parades like that around the valley. So there's definitely a lot to do during the winter time to help keep yourself entertained. And then next up is the summer. It does get rather hot in the summer times. In fact, actually, when I moved here, there was 6 straight weeks of over 100 degrees. That was brutal. And I was like, what on earth is going on here? I thought I moved to Idaho, not to Phoenix. So that was also abnormally hot. This summer that I'm in right now is actually still warm, but not nearly as hot. We've only had 1 100-degree day so far. Now, as I said, people do spend more time indoors in the wintertime, but in spring, summer, and fall, people are outdoors in full force, enjoying the nature here in the Boise, Idaho area. And that's actually a big reason why I moved here, is to be close to all the nature. I had looked at other places like Texas, and particular areas of Texas where there's just a lot of suburban sprawl, and it just wasn't for me. But Idaho has all the nature. It has the Boise River, it has the Greenbelt, it has the foothills, it has the mountains. Absolutely beautiful mountains, just a 45-minute to 1-hour drive, and you're into what looks like the Sierras to me, being from California. And of course, there are so many splash pads around too for the kids to help keep them cool. Next up was friendships. Would I be able to establish a new network, a new community of friendships, having come from San Diego where I had so many established friendships already? And I will say that was a little bit harder to do, as you have to be very intentional about establishing those relationships, establishing that community. And there's a number of ways to go about doing that. Of course, any sort of club that you're involved in. If you go to church, then certainly you can establish a great network there at church, or your children's school, especially if it's a much more collaborative type environment, maybe a homeschool type environment where parents are super involved, or gymnastics or karate of some sort, like jiu-jitsu, etc. We actually have our daughter in Kung Fu, for instance. So there are different ways to establish a community and friendship. So we have worked hard at that and we've established it, but that did take longer than we were expecting. The third thing are the home prices here in Idaho. Now, coming from California, they actually are rather affordable. They're gonna be probably about half the price of what you're used to paying in California. However, you're also getting larger homes. So sometimes people think moving from California, like, I'm gonna buy a 1,200 square foot home. Well, those exist here, but they tend to be older. So if you're looking for a newer home, you're probably gonna be looking at really a 1,600 to 2,000 or larger square foot home. So obviously that is going to cost a little bit more, but it's still going to be cheaper than what you're used to paying in California. However, what I get a lot of is folks thinking that they're going to move here and be able to buy a home on acreage for like $300,000. Unfortunately, that just does not exist. Really, if you're in the $400,000 to $700,000 price range, most likely you're going to be buying a nice home in a subdivision. So basically a tract home. Lots and lots of options for that. If you're looking for acreage, then you're really honestly looking at least $700,000 on up for a 1 acre property. And with the way interest rates are right now, basically if you're buying a $600,000 home with 20% down, you're looking at about $3,600 a month in payments. But again, these homes also are much larger than probably what you're used to getting. So you're gonna get more for your money moving here to Idaho than what you're used to getting in California. Next up is cost of living and just some surprising differences in what some of the costs are, where you're saving money and where you're not saving money. So for instance, groceries are actually pretty much the same price here in Idaho as they are in California, and actually you're paying sales tax on groceries that you don't have to pay in California. Sometimes there's a little bit of savings, but then you're kind of getting hit with the sales tax. You're really not saving any money on groceries. However, some things can be cheaper. Eggs are cheaper, bacon is significantly cheaper. So not everything is the same. Some things are certainly cheaper. Where you get some big savings though are on your utility bills. So, obviously coming from California, a lot of people are used to paying $300, $400, $500, $600 for utilities, gas and or electric. Here in Idaho, in my home, which is about 2,700 square feet, 2-story home, I on average pay about $150 combined in gas and electric. And that's gonna vary throughout the year. My last bill for gas was $20 and my electric bill was $130. But in the wintertime, that's gonna flip. We're gonna be paying about $100 in gas and maybe $30, $40 in electricity. Also, homeowners insurance is a lot cheaper here. I pay less than $600 a year for my insurance policy. Touching on groceries real quick, a fun surprise has just been how many farms there are around here and how you can buy meat directly from the farm or raw milk directly from a farm, eggs, fruits, vegetables. There are just roadside stands sometimes right outside of someone's house that are on the honor system where you can just drive up and they've got fruit right there, cherries, eggs, and you just Venmo them or leave cash, pick what you want and drive on. Or, you can buy a quarter cow or a half cow from a farm. You can actually go to that farm and maybe not pick out the cow, but you can certainly deal directly with that farmer or rancher to get your quarter or half cow. Now, with some of those cost of living savings that you're going to experience, what I found is because of that, and this goes into the higher quality of life you're going to have, pretty much everyone has toys. And by toys, you know what I mean. Campers, boats, razors, quads, everyone has a toy. It seems like I've got a camper. All my neighbors seem to have campers. They got razors, the quads, etc. So you're going to see those all over the place here in Idaho. You're going to see huge storage areas for camper trailers because not everyone can store them at their homes. And you're going to see tons of boats being driven around, to go to the lake. So you're just going to notice that everyone seems to have a toy here in Idaho. Up next is just how really family friendly it is. When we were in California, my wife would get comments from people in kind of a derogatory tone when they would see how many kids we have. We have 3 children. They would get comments like, "Oh wow, your hands are really full." And it was kind of derogatory, like, "Why do you have so many kids?" Here in Idaho, you might get the same comment, but in a very positive way. So when you're spoken to about your family, it's just much more positive. You'll see larger families here in general. In fact, there are lots of families moving here with children. In fact, Idaho grew by over, I think it was close to 2% net growth in children versus other states like California literally lost children. There is so much to do for families. We absolutely love doing things like going to the river and floating in the river, splashing around in the river, just chilling by the river with our kids, going to splash pads with our kids so they can go and splash through them, or the great playgrounds here. You got Eagle Island Park, lots of cool things to do, giant slides here. Of course, you got Roaring Springs with the huge water park there. And then of course, just, local hiking. You've got Celebration Park. There's a cool bridge you can walk on there, boulders with petroglyphs on them. You can walk around and find, and it's right on the Snake River. Just all kinds of things to do for the family here in Idaho. Or like in the fall, there's really cool things like Lowe's Family Farm, a really great, huge, family-friendly farm with a corn maze, this huge dragon you can go through, a slide, and just cool events going on throughout the entire time you're there. And finally is just how patriotic it really is here in Idaho. That is, you hear about it, but when you see it, it's really true. There are American flags all over the place. Every community has its own patriotic events that they like to do. Of course, for 4th of July, Memorial Day, you'll see it all throughout the year. 4th of July, it goes crazy with fireworks here. In my community, it was just 360 fireworks the entire evening. It was like World War III going on here with the amount of fireworks going on. So it's just cool to see how truly patriotic everyone is here in Idaho. If that's what you're looking for, then Idaho is probably the spot for you. If you're looking to make the move here to Idaho, just like I did, I am a real estate agent. I love helping people just like you and you and you and you make the move here to beautiful Idaho, and I would love to help you too. Whether you're 9 days, 90 days, or even 2 years out, just give me a call, shoot me a text message or an email, and we'll jump on a Zoom call and figure out the best area for you, what your timeline is, your budget, and we'll help you make that smooth move here to Idaho. So give me a call, and if you are looking to make the move and you want to explore more videos about Idaho, just watch this video right here. We dive in deeper, and I'll see you on the next video.